I signed up for the North Carolina Mountains to Coast bicycle ride months before it was to start. I had heard of RAGBRAI and wanted to try something close rather than head to Iowa. I was so excited to do my first multi-day adventure on my BMC road machine. Want to be as ready as possible, so I hired a coach, thanks Eric, and took my prep seriously. We were going to start in Spruce Pine, but Hurricane Helene forced us to skip day 1. Day 2 became day 1, and so on. Each night was a different city or town as we cycled across the Old North State. Big shout out to my wife Crystal for all of her support in this endeavor. After checking in Lenoir, people would set up their tents. There was a DJ playing, I found the charging stations, and just wandered around a little bit. Smile and wave! Yeah! Over here is where some other people had set up some tents. You could basically choose whatever piece of land you wanted, except for the tent village. More about that in a moment. Everywhere you looked, there were bicycles. About 900 cyclists took part in this event. Here's that tent village. This is Summit Cycle Solutions and who I used for setting up and breaking down a tent for me every single day. It was well worth it to have them do all of the work, and all I had to do was ride. Day 1. Day 1, our first day of riding. Short day, 58 miles. This is what getting up and starting out our day looked like. It got a lot slower as we got further into the week. Here we go, getting ready, and we are off. Beautiful day for riding, nice, bright, sunny. In fact, we had no rain the entire trip. Excellent weather for riding, starting off cool in the mornings. It did get warm on some days. The roads were lightly traveled, we had lots of room, and it was a pleasure to be cycling like this. On your left, passing by. Scenery was beautiful most of the ride. We saw farms, we saw, oh wait, let's stop here and take some pictures. So a bunch of us had pulled over to take a few pictures. The scenery was just beautiful. As you can see, we really took up space in our lane, which made it a lot more safe for everybody. This is the first rest stop that we came to. Rest stops were placed about every 15 to 20 miles each day. Every rest stop had snacks, drinks, apples, bananas. We had great support from state and local police. Thank you. Drafting a truck is great, but I can't keep up with that. The Lucas Mansion in Hiddenite, North Carolina was built around 1900. Diamond Jim Lucas bought it in 1914. It had its own electric generator and indoor plumbing, way ahead of its time. Hiddenite is the rarest spodumene, a mineral primarily composed of lithium aluminum silicate. Discovered by W.E. Hidden, Hiddenite is a significant source of lithium, think batteries. Hiddenite is pale to emerald green and sometimes used as a gem.
Okay, we got plenty of hot dogs, all in the coolers, help yourself.
Many rest stops had homemade baked goods that were available for a donation. Our standard set of snacks provided by NC Sports included potato chips, pickle cups, peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. Try potato chips on a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Here we were treated to some porch music. I was treated by this young man to a weaving demonstration.
Which was a place that he could telegraph Edison. So forget about platinum. I'm on the sun. And so he collects specimens.
Yeah, whenever you get to the close to the end, it starts to come off because there's no more to hold it down. That's I've done it a little bit. I mean,
okay, so they don't use it now because I
probably ain't. My mammal's probably better than I am.
According to Encyclopedia, Fort Dobbs played an important role in the French and Indian War. It served as a military barracks, fortification, refuge, a depot for provisioning troops, and a center for negotiations with the Native Americans. The building that's at the site now is a recreation of the original fort based on information learned from historical documents. This is a great place to take a rest and learn a little bit about history.
Which has been established for about 30 years by this point. They're getting access to firearms, not necessarily big hefty soldiers' muskets, but a trade gun, which is more like what a civilian might use as their hunting weapon.
We had a brief nail making demonstration. We also learned that a skilled blacksmith can make 100 nails an hour.
That makes the head apprentice quench it, cool it off. Oh.
Our first overnight was in Statesville. It's home to Firefly Balloons, one of the world's largest manufacturers of hot air balloons. During our visit, there were tethered hot air balloon rides. The minimum requested donation was $10, and all that money raised went to the town of Spruce Pine, which was going to be the start of the ride, but it was impacted by Helene. Our second day of riding, day 3 on the route, was 65 miles. Not a lot happened along this ride. It was just a really nice day to be out on the bike. Our overnight was in Thomasville, traditionally a large furniture manufacturer in North Carolina. Our third day of riding, another sunny day, would take us to the Richard Petty Museum a little bit later on. Sometimes it's important to remember that the purpose of being out here is actually the journey. I'm very grateful for the police escorts that we had periodically. If you like cars, stock car racing, or Richard Petty, then this is a stop for you. Richard Petty, the King, competed from 1958 to 1992 in the former NASCAR Grand National Winston Cup Series. You may remember the character the King from the Pixar movie Cars. The King is based on Richard Petty and was even voiced by Petty. One of the coolest exhibits in the museum was Mrs. the King. It's a 1969 Ford station wagon that Petty bought new for his wife. Pixar asked Linda, Richard's wife, what car she would like to be in the movie, and she said her 1969 station wagon. I'll include a link to the Richard Petty Museum in the notes. I enjoyed this rest stop, found a nice spot under a tree, had a couple of peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, and listened to some music. This rest stop is the Chatham County Agriculture and Conference Center in Pittsboro. There were some food trucks around back behind the conference center. I was able to get a nice plate of fried fish and French fries. Day 4 of riding. Remember, subtract 1 from the route map. The Jordan Dam and Lake were created by the Army Corps of Engineers beginning in 1967. It's almost 47,000 acres and meets several purposes. Angier was our last rest stop of the day. It has an estimated population of 5,200, and each year about 20,000 people come here for their annual Crepe Myrtle Festival. I enjoyed the 3-piece music group that was playing. Multiple food trucks were set up, and I got a wonderful chicken burrito from one of them. As you can see, there are bicycles everywhere. I prefer to lean mine up against something rather than laying it down on the ground. Rolling into Benson, we came across a gravelly parking lot. I then had to go find my tent just like I did every single evening. This is a normal sight at each camp. In the evening, you'll find towels and clothes draped across chairs and on tents. Everything had to dry. The penultimate day, day 5 or 6, things are starting to flatten out. You can see that in some places the roads are not in great condition, so we do a good job of avoiding all of that. The terrain is really getting flatter as we're getting closer to the coast. Beautiful day for riding. The town of Roseboro welcomed us with open arms. I got a pizza from a local pizza shop and then sat at this table, overlooking the grassy area, watching people and listening to the music. I'm used to riding in Asheville, North Carolina. We don't have roads that are flat like this. And here we are pulling into our second to last night in the town of Elizabethtown, North Carolina. Last day, my legs were really sore, but you can see it's a flat day. Except for here. Here we are coming over the causeway to get to Ocean Isle Beach. The guy that I just passed said that he had to slow down because his wife was behind us. My wife was in front of us, and I wanted to get there to see her and the dog. Somehow I managed to find a little bit of strength to sprint the rest of the way. I spent nearly 28 hours in the saddle. Never having done a multi-day event, it was a tremendous experience. It was challenging but rewarding. I did it, and I'm thrilled with my accomplishment.